What's up guys, King here, bringing you a quick video game review on Crash Bandicoot, the N-SANE Trilogy, remastered or remake as you would call it. So yeah, I finished this about, what, a few weeks ago, sometime this month I think, before I started playing some newer games. And oh man, the experience of just replaying Crash Bandicoot and actually finishing it 100% with all three games and planting it as well. I'm not bragging, I'm just saying that I did my best to fully enjoy and experience this game to its full potential. And yeah man, I have to say, like, it was a great nostalgic trip. But of course, you know, the whole point of this is to really talk about how do all three games really feel, like how do they all work, how do they all feel in this day and age compared to the predecessors. Well, first off, Crash Bandicoot 1 is ridiculously bloody hard as hell, like compared to the original game. I mean, the original game was hard as well, and I only ever played that once because it was just such a difficulty getting through it. Like the key word here is difficult. It's a very challenging game, and if you're into those kind of 3D platformers, then yeah, that's definitely going to be the kind of game you're going to enjoy just getting through, because it's so frustratingly, mind-blowingly difficult. And to be fair, a lot of the levels are pretty piss easy to get through, but then there are the few levels, High Road, I think the Lost Valley or Sunset Vista, for example, was it the Native Fortress, and I think the Slippery Climb. Those are like just the main examples. There's like 5 or 6 levels in this that are just like nerve-inducingly, head-inducingly annoying. Like really, like damn. And it shows. Like, if you didn't realize how hard the original game was, then the remake is definitely gonna bring you up to speed about, yeah, remember this, remember how hard that was, and yeah, my god. But it's a challenge worth getting through, and it definitely, for me at least, had the most, I wouldn't say fun, okay, Crash Bandicoot was definitely not a fun game to play, because you die constantly in that game, but surprisingly it's the one game where I managed to actually get 99 lives as I was playing through it. So yeah, that's a bit weird compared to the next two, which I'll get to in a minute. But yeah, the first game is just like, it's a masterpiece in terms of a very challenging 3D platformer. But that said, there's obviously a few kinks here and there that they sort of changed around. In the original game, you know, if you were like standing by the edge of a platform, for example, you wouldn't fall off the edge, because I believe the edges then in the original game were like sort of square shaped. Here they're all sort of smoothed over now, so you know, even if you land with like an inch of your feet sticking out, like still standing on the edge, you're gonna fall down anyway, whereas in the original game that wouldn't happen. So they've definitely made this a lot harder, especially if you consider the higher road levels, for example, where usually you'd be able to, you know, land perfectly, or not even perfectly, just like a few meters apart onto the bridge parts, and you wouldn't fall down. But here, you miss that perfect jump, you're dead, you're a goner, and it's like, wow, that is frustrating as hell. And of course there's the whole function of the jump button as well. In the next two games, I believe there was a double jump feature. Here you don't really exactly have that, because with this one, you have to create momentum when you jump. So you basically have to run, and it's not even about tapping X. You have to tap X and hold it to get you that sort of high jump. And it's crazy that they've sort of implemented that and put it into this, like, without changing it up and improving it. I mean, they give you these time relics, for example, from Crash Bandicoot 3, so you can do some time trials, but they don't improve the controls. For the most part, the control system of all three games is essentially the same for the most part, but 2 and 3 are definitely 100 or at least 99% more similar, whereas Crash 1 is definitely sort of very backwards. But that doesn't stop it from being any more of a good game. It's a very good game. It's a very good, you know, fun game to play. But it's definitely, out of the 3 ones, it's definitely the longest one to beat, in my opinion. Overall fun, but annoying experience, if that's what you're looking for. And I certainly, you know, that's why I won and I got it. And yeah, it was worth it, in my opinion. Definitely a nice nostalgic trip, as I said. Let's move on to Crash Bandicoot 2, Cortex Strikes Back. This was my first Crash Bandicoot game on the PS1 when I bought it at the time, so yeah, you have to understand this is probably my favorite Crash game, and it shows the amount of improvements that this remake version of the game has had. The upscale and graphics, I have to say the graphics and just the tighter controls, like you can feel that, you can see the amount of improvement they've done on that, especially certain animations in the first Crash Bandicoot remake game that they did, like that weren't in the original, so that was a nice little touch there. It gives you something new as well. And before I forget, obviously I always forget this, the bonus rounds, I'm talking about Crash 2, but now I'm talking about Crash 1 again. The bonus rounds, I have to say the bonus rounds, man, just the way they're designed to feel like puzzles that you need to figure out before you can continue on, that was very cleverly designed, which is something I've not really seen in the game before, and it's only really unique to that. So, you know, a lot of people probably won't get what I mean by that, but really those bonus rounds, at least with Cortex and Bios bonus rounds, or the Death bonus rounds if you will, those really require a lot of thinking and retries. You're going to die a lot, I don't know, but you won't lose lives over it, but you will die a lot just trying to figure out how to solve those bonus rounds, and it's great in my opinion. Like, but once you figure out, you're like, that's how you do it, and it's fun when you can accomplish it and get it right. But yeah, that's Crash 1, Crash 2, Crash 2, come on, let's talk about Crash 2. Like I said, in my opinion, it's probably the best one. The whole level design of the game, I think, just suits it a lot more compared to later on with 3. 3 has a lot of extra things and scenarios in there, but 2 just keeps it very simple. It's a very simple platform where you play it, you start going forward, boom, bada bing, bada bang, you know, break the boxes, collect the boxes, get the gem, do the round again, and you know, some of the rounds in all 3 games specifically require you not to die and to complete the level without dying once, and those are very hard and challenging, but when you do it, it's like, it's such a relief. And then of course you got the other levels where you have to find secret paths to get through the other levels, do the death traps for example. There's a lot going on, there's a lot in there, and it keeps you replaying in order to get that 100% and to get the true ending. And in my opinion, that's a very fun way to keep you invested. I never invested my time with these games doing that with the original PS1 versions, because I didn't even know about it. I just fully collect the crystals and that's it. I was never all about the, you know, 100% in the game. With these ones, I went through the challenge of doing it, and it was so worth it. It was fun. Just, you know, the relief you get when you get all the boxes and then you get the gems, or you find a secret path that leads you to another colored gem for example. That's just a big relief, and it's fun to do that. Again, it goes to show you, because this is a game, one of the things I need to make clear here is that this is a game you don't play for the story. There's a simple story here, but I mean, it's about a bloody animal wearing shorts, spinning around, crushing boxes and killing other animals and shit. There really isn't much of a deep invested story going on, and it's strange because this is Naughty Dog as well. I mean, this was Naughty Dog, this is Activision who've taken over and now are doing this. But the point is, you don't play this for the story, you play this for the gameplay. This is one of those rare cases where you play something because you like the thrill and challenge of it, and it shows. I mean, why do people play Mario? Because it's fun, it's colourful, and because it's challenging. You want to play that and get through to the next level. You want to avoid all the traps and the obstacles and save Princess Peach. And here it's sort of the same thing. You want to get through these levels as quickly as you can without dying, challenging yourself, giving yourself a challenge, or getting all the crystals, getting all the boxes, getting all the gems, and or doing the time trials and seeing how fast you can finish this level in a specific time in order to get that top score. And that, in my opinion, is just it's one of those rare cases of a game where everything just works going for it. Like, it keeps you invested, it keeps you trained up for. This is a game where sometimes you have to think about what you want to do next. Like I said, the puzzles in the Crash 1's bonus rounds do make you think about how you're going to progress, like where you're going to jump next and where you're going to jump back, how you're going to time this so you can jump to this next bomb and turn that off or ignite that, and etc, etc. Like, it's crazy, it's very crazy, it's very fast paced, but it requires a lot of thinking too, and that's what makes, in my opinion, these Crash Bandicoot games so fun to play even now. But yeah, Crash 2 as a whole, really, there isn't a lot to say really. It's the perfect combination of everything that was Crash 1 but perfected in this game. You don't get a whole lot of similar levels obviously from Crash 1. They do improve some parts. You get, like, you know, in the first one you rode a hog, I think, for example. In this one you ride a polar bear. Some of the levels where you're just running from a boulder or from a polar bear are, you know, Indiana Jones inspired, and those are always fun. It might be annoying for some, but because, you know, you can't really see what's ahead of you, but it's challenging as hell and it's so worth it. Plus, you're one of those guys that played this the first time and you never really mastered the controls, with this one you can do the whole, because it introduces you to the whole belly drop and the slight jump, which helps a lot in terms of getting you through areas a lot quicker, especially if you're aiming for those time trials and trying to get the gold or the platinum. So those are really worth neutralizing and mastering and getting through, and it makes the levels go by really quick. But also it also means you probably have more of a likely chance to die a lot more until you can learn what the proper way is of navigating through some of these sequences and avoiding the enemies and traps and timing your jumps and that. So yeah, definitely brilliant. It's a brilliant remaster of a game. And then of course we get Crash Bandicoot 3. As I said, there's a lot of scenarios in this. A lot of people probably say that this is the perfect one, and it is for the most part. There's nothing wrong with Crash 3 except for a few things in it that you know, they don't break the game in my opinion, but it will annoy some people. Personally, I never had a problem with the bike races. I liked those. I had a lot of fun playing those bike races, and I believe they were the inspiration, I guess, later on for Crash Team Racing, I suppose. So I never had a problem with those, and I certainly never had a problem with the plane levels either. I like those plane levels. The Coco missions where you're riding the tiger, for example, or the Great Wall of China, those, for some reason, to me at least, always felt very slow paced compared to the panda sequences in Crash 2. Like, obviously you can speed it up if you want because you got a running boost button that you can hold down, but the oomph that was there in the panda sequences are not there with the tiger levels here. But that doesn't make the levels any bad. They're still good and fun to play. And then of course you got like diamond sequences you can do, which is, I believe, only 2 levels of that. So I never got the complaints from people like, oh, they put these in there, but it's not that bad. It's a nice little unique scenario that you can play that breaks it up from the rest of the game. In terms of variety, Crash Bandicoot 3 gives you a lot more to do, in my opinion. You got the bike missions, you got the plane missions, you got the tiger missions, you got the missions where in this case you're running away from dinosaurs, and then it breaks up into the side scroller segments before going back to the whole 3D going forward and back. So it's a mix and match of all of those scenarios, which in my opinion is a hit and miss really, because I always did like those boulder chases, and here they sort of change that up and make it a lot more difficult, which is a bloody shame in my opinion. Like, I really wish they just brought back the boulder sections. And then of course you get the boat levels with Coco, which I think in my opinion are the most annoying, just because of the constant running into landmines and dying constantly, like just because you tap it by an inch and you can't really control the boat that well. So those levels were definitely hard and annoying, especially if you're going for the time trials. Like, you have to get through those levels very quickly without dying, and there's so many obstacles in your way for those specific levels, and yeah, it's just infuriating to get through them. But as a whole, Crash Bandicoot 3 is not bad for it. You also get a lot of bonus unlocks as well. In Crash 2, if you complete it and you beat the final boss for that, you unlock the running shoes. With Crash 3, obviously, it introduced the whole bonus combat add-ons like the bazooka and the running shoes, and to help you through the time trials, obviously, and double jump and spinning and helicopter and flying, and that features which in my opinion are fun and help you get through layer levels a lot more easier. You don't have to use them, that's the thing. A lot of people always complain, oh, they added this and made it a lot more. Here's the thing, don't use it, okay? If it helps you get through the level and you feel like it's making the level easier, don't use it. I never got these complaints about like, oh, we get these little bonus modes, bonus items. It's like, don't use it then. You're not required to use it. If you don't want to use it, don't use it. Like, if you do, that's up to you. Like, I never got those complaints. I never really do, especially with other games. Like, oh, why are they giving us this? Don't use it. You're not required to use it. It's not telling you to use it. You can if you want. You don't have to. You have a choice here. And yeah, overall, Crash Bandicoot 3 is definitely the best one in terms of how it's overall designed. But in terms of just perfect level design, just perfect, like, here's a platform, play it and get through it, Crash 2 is, in my opinion, the best one in terms of how it just all does it in style and music as well. And Crash 1, in terms of wanting a really hard challenge, then yeah, Crash 1 is definitely the hardest one here. Crash 2 was definitely the easiest. That was a game I was able to, I believe, 100% in about 4 hours, I think. No, sorry, 8 hours. Like, when I played it the first time, I played for 4 hours straight, and I got like 60% something done in such a short time, and that was just like, what? But Crash 3 was definitely a bit more harder just because of the different scenarios that it presented. But overall, it's still a great and fun game to play. Which brings me to my overall, verdict on this. If you're a fan of Crash Bandicoot, then you've probably already played this, you've already downloaded the, from the PSN, or you got on the disc, the physical copy, and you played it, and you smashed it, or you're still playing it. In which case, yeah, this review doesn't really do anything for you. If you're a fan who's played this when you were a kid, then you're already playing it regardless. If you're someone new who is considering playing this, right, because you've never played a Crash game before and you want to try something challenging, fun, colourful and new, then yeah, go for it. It's a very nostalgic game. It gives you a good idea what people like 10, 20 years ago played. 20 years ago, my god, I feel very old now when I remember I played this when I was 7, like damn. But yeah, get this and you get a good idea of what games used to be like. Like a lot of people like to say that games back then were hard, and games now are easier. But the truth of the matter is there was a nice balance to those kind of games. Games were a mix of hard and easy. And Crash Bandicoot 1, for example, is definitely one of the hardest games you're ever going to play. And Crash 2 is definitely one of the easiest. And Crash 3 is a nice balance of that. But overall, it's a fun pack of games that are put together and remastered for people to play and enjoy, to play with their friends and play with their families. It's definitely a fun kind of game, and of course the death animations are always a pleasure to enjoy, especially in 2 and 3 where they improved a lot more and you get a lot more animations where you can die in hilarious, funny ways. So that's always there for people who like to that. And of course the N-SANE Trilogy adds the ability for people to play as Coco as well. Obviously you get to play as Coco in 3 in some of the vehicle missions, but playing her as a character through the platforming sections, you get the choice of doing that now. So that was a very unique and fun thing to add for people, especially me, like, because I always wanted to play as Coco, like for example, I don't know, I just did, and they added that, and it's fun to see that, so it's great. And of course, the boss fights are for the most part a mix of very easy and frustrating. There are a few boss fights that were surprisingly difficult at first. I thought thinking, oh, they would be easy, but they're not. But there are a few that I remember being hard at the time, and they're very easy now. So it's a mixed bag in that department. I feel like I wish they'd done a much better job regarding those boss fights. But as far as remasters or remakes go, this is a nice, polished, updated game with everything that was very good about the original 3 games, with some added features that add for more replay value. That's the word. I nearly lost the tip there, but yeah. Overall, it's worth getting if you're thinking about getting it. So yeah, as always guys, if you like this review, like and subscribe, whatever. And I shall see you when I shall see you. Take care and bye. And keep on spinning. That was a terrible pun. I'm sorry about that.